Hello, welcome to my channel. My name's Tara and I am a retired homeschool mom, and I teach art classes for our local homeschool groups as well as at a gallery here in the town where I live. And I thought I would share today what I've kind of laid out for myself as far as personal art practice for the month of January, and maybe it'll give you some ideas. And I also, as I show you what I'm doing, I'm going to also make some suggestions, give some ideas for things that you might possibly be able to incorporate into your homeschool day. So certainly a lot of these projects can be very enjoyable and beneficial for adults, but also for kids. So I'll give you a quick look and then we'll get into the video that I recorded with the top-down camera so that you can see a little more detail. So I kind of had two different projects in mind for the month of January. And the first one is in a sketchbook and the other one is going to be on some loose paper. So my overall goal with the month of January was to up how many times a week that I'm actually doing some type of drawing or painting that is just for myself, just for me personally. It's not preparation for a class or examples for a class, but just for my own enjoyment and to keep honing my skills as an artist. So to accomplish that, I knew that I needed to make the plan something that could be done in a short amount of time, aiming for like around 30 minutes. And for it to be done in that amount of time, it knew it would need to be small. So I'll show you this sketchbook. This is an Etcher sketchbook that is a 5" by 5" square. I did get it off of Amazon. I'd never had an Etcher sketchbook before, so I was really curious to see what all the hype was about. And honestly, I was really excited just to find 100% cotton watercolor paper sketchbook in this size, because the size is perfect. Right away, so while the cover, when I opened it, was quite lovely, and it has this cute little llama that is, or alpaca, that's embroidered in the cover. With this cover being white, it is not going to stay clean. I did use some acrylic paint markers to label it. And my idea with this book, and you can probably guess by what it says on the cover, was to do a bird sketch as many days as possible. And to make it even more accessible and realistic to accomplish, I decided to take one of my little field guides. This one is the Birds of Indiana field guide by Stan Tequila, and just start on the very first page and just work through it with my sketches and finish the sketches off as I can with mixed media. So I didn't want to give myself too many restrictions on this project, and I am enjoying it tremendously. So the very first bird in the book is a European starling. So I started with him and used, let's see, I made notes in the back so I'd remember what I used. I used Derwent Inktense as the base layer of paint, and then I used colored pencil over the top for finishing it off. And I did really enjoy that combo. And you'll see on the next page, we've got the red-winged blackbird. That bird was illustrated with colored pencil and then I used some watercolor in the background. But I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because you'll see that later in the video. So that's one of my small projects, and that is all ready. All I need is these 2 books and my little, I have a mini Sendak roll with all my supplies in it. The other project, and I saw somebody else do this online somewhere, and I thought it was such a cute idea. They taped off watercolor paper so that when you finished the painting, it would kind of look like a little Polaroid with the white edges. So I had purchased a little 4-pack of these little black, these are paint canvases, and I used those, prepped them with my little sheets of watercolor paper, taped off like I wanted them so that it would look like a Polaroid, and I've done a couple of those so far. And I'm just pulling photos out of my camera roll of different scenes that I've taken pictures of around home. This was a sunset from about a week and a half ago, and I was really happy with how that one turned out. The very first one I did, I will show you. I did not turn it the right orientation, so on Polaroids, usually the whiter part is at the bottom, but mine's at the top. It's okay. It's okay. This one I got right. Okay. The other thing that I thought I'd show you here at the beginning is when I am using my regular watercolors, my dusk palette. I have my dusk palette all swatched out here in a little ring sketchbook, and that is really useful to just keep it up where I can see it as I'm painting so I can make my color choices. Okay, let's get into the meat of the video. So here you see the American crow that I had sketched out into the little sketchbook. And where I started recording here, I already had the initial paint layers on. And I had purchased, just right after Christmas, a new tube of Daniel Smith paint called Moon Glow. And when I swatched it out, it's just such an interesting paint because it's granulating, and sometimes it looks like a Payne's gray, sometimes it looks blue, sometimes it looks purpley pink, and I just thought that would be perfect for the iridescent quality of the crow's feathers. So I used that as the base layer, let it dry completely, and then what you're seeing here is I'm adding layers on top to start darkening up the dark areas on the crow's body. I do think that this could be a really fun and pretty simple project to set up for your own kids as an art practice for your homeschool. If each of your kiddos had their own sketchbook, watercolor sketchbook to paint in, and they got to choose a field guide, I know a lot of you probably already have multiple bird field guides around the house, and you just set aside even 15 minutes a day for the art practice. Each of the kids could have their field guide, you wouldn't even have to do paint if you didn't want to do paint. This would be great with just pencils and colored pencils, or pencil and marker. The options are kind of limitless as far as what supplies you could use, but just set a timer and have the kiddos pick a bird and add it to their own little sketchbook. This activity could certainly be extended if that's what you were interested into a nature journaling project where you could read all the information about the bird. Right now where we live, it's winter, so we have lots of birds coming to our bird feeders. I had thought it would also be a fun project to, if you didn't want to just work straight through the field guide, to wait until you see a bird come to visit your bird feeder, and then everybody add that bird into their sketchbook, read a little bit about the bird. But this would be a fabulous wintertime nature journal activity, as well as an art activity. I'm probably going to stop the voiceover now and just let some music play. If you would like to watch the rest of the crow painting process, then feel free, or you can go ahead and skip ahead and we'll take a flip through the book. You can see here at this stage, I've started adding the background around my crow. I did let my crow's body dry for a few minutes before starting to add the background paint, just because I didn't want to take a chance of having the watercolor bloom into the bird's body. In the photograph that's in the field guide on the left, you can see the crow standing on the ground, and it appears to be like maybe it's fall time when the grasses have dried and turned brown. And my goal for this little sketchbook is not to focus so much on the background, so I just did a really simple, kind of a messy wash with it was quinacridone burnt orange mixed with a little burnt umber here and there. And I used that for all the background area around my bird. At the very end, I did take a little bit of the moon glow and added just a little bit of darkness underneath the bird's feet, just so that he looks planted on the ground and not like he's just kind of floating there in midair. Okay, so moving on from showing the process of the crow painting, I'm going to show you a flip through of the beginning of this little Birds of Indiana field guide. And you will see that the very first bird was the eastern towhee, followed by the brown cowbird, then the European starling, the red-winged blackbird, the common grackle. He was super fun to paint. The American coot, the American crow, and then a turkey vulture. Now, some of these bird sketches, I would do the sketch on like one evening and didn't do the painting till the next day. It just depended on what my time allowed and what I felt up to that particular time. And when I started, you'll see here, looking at, you see that green sketchbook. I started off thinking I would just do them in a sketchbook that I already had, and after the first two, realized that I was going to enjoy this enough that I wanted to have a sketchbook dedicated to the birds. So here's, and you saw these briefly at the beginning. Okay, here we have the common grackle, and he was super fun to paint. The iridescent colors, I just used watercolors. There's Back to the Crow. And then the turkey vulture, I used pen and ink with a little colored pencil on top. Here I am going back and doing the final touches on the crow. I did get out a fine liner for darkening up. Okay, well, I'm not showing that right now. I did use a fine liner on his eye and a little bit on his beak. And also used fine liner to add the names of the birds on each page. In the very back of the book, I don't think I showed this on the video, I did make a page where I listed the bird's name and then recorded which art supplies I was using to make that bird, because none of the birds so far have I used just one media. They're all mixed media in some ways. And I don't think I said it when we were flipping through, but the American coot that was in there, I did that one with water-soluble graphite, which if you would be interested in a video like demonstrating the different media that that I'm using in this mixed media bird book, I'd be happy to do that. So coming up, we'll have the cormorant, the black and white warbler, and we'll see at the end of January. I'm not sure if I'll keep going with this or if I'll switch and do a different project for February. So thanks for watching. If you are interested in more simple art project ideas that can be useful to mom or possibly be modified and used with your students, then hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Thank you for stopping by.